All right, welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier iHypnosis life healer coach and your personal guide. So, we are at a very, very powerful juncture as we start to wrap up this year. 2024 has been a really, really fantastic year as far as new formats, as far as creating more content, creating more podcasts. And this podcast, episode number 37, at last count, is a very special podcast. I have a very, very special guest on, and you're going to meet him in a few moments. Um, and I'll tell you more about how I got to meet this amazing person now 5 years ago, and the trysts that we have had over time. And of course, I know that you will be inspired by his journey. So, Bimal, this is your cue, of course. You can go ahead and turn on your camera and your mic. And as his system comes back on, like I said, the iHypnosis life coaching journeys has been something that was inspired towards the end of last year, and we kicked off this year. And today we are at episode number 37. So, welcome, Bimal, and
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Rahul George. Thank you, brother. Thank you for inviting me. I used to see your interviews on Facebook and say, hey, uh, he's a good friend. Why doesn't he ever tell me to come on his show? And it was nice. It was a pleasant surprise for when I got your invite. Everything has its time.
Oh,
So
yes.
I believe in that.
True, true, true. So, just a quick little story here, and of course, today we'll be what is it they say? We unravel many stories as you will discover through Vimal's life and the things that he has been, the journeys that he has been on. I actually first met Bimal, and this is at a point where Bimal didn't know me. So I saw Bimal on stage for the very first time way back in 2019. 2019 was, of course, a very monumental year in my own journey, of course. I was at that point where I knew the things that I didn't know, and I knew that it was time to level up. And of course, 2019, for all of you, 2019 was a powerful year for some, because obviously 2020 came and it became probably one of the most monumental years in most of our lives. So I was very fortunate to see Bimal and then to interact very, very briefly way back in 2019. And then, of course, 2020 happened, and then we've all had our own journeys, and we can all spin off podcasts on the year that 2020 that was. But as you know, this is your podcast, so I'd love for you to tell people what it is that you do today, and then of course I know you will take us on a journey of how you got to be here. But for now, Bimal, in your own words, if you could share, what is it that you do today?
Okay. Uh, what I do today is multiple things.
Hmm.
One is the what I'm most passionate about is the
Hmm.
fact that I'm a mindset mentor. I'm an
Hmm.
internationally certified Mind Kinetics Coach. I work with a lot of people. I'm currently working with a very large company
Nice.
based out of Dubai as well.
Hmm.
Some senior. The first time they are trying to transform the people at the top management through coaching. They didn't have
Nice.
this culture, so
Hmm.
they picked me, and that's one thing that I'm very, very passionate about.
Nice.
Uh, Otherwise, I'm a published and an award-winning author. I
Hmm.
published my book, I think, last year or the year before. I
Hmm.
don't even remember now. Okay, I'm a very active podcaster. I have a podcast called Awkward Talks on Spotify. I talk
Hmm.
about stuff that are very topics that are very important but are normally not much
Hmm.
discussed openly. So
Yeah.
that's why the name Awkward Talks. And I'm also working in a company
Hmm.
with a friend of mine, um, and I'm one of the directors there. And it's a promise, it's a commitment that
Hmm.
uh, you know I'm continuing, which started
Hmm.
during COVID when everything was down.
Hmm.
We made a pact, and I'm honoring that pact.
Hmm.
So these are the things that I do. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a I'm a pet parent. All for me, all are very very important.
Mm, beautiful, beautiful. So, as you can tell, there are many threads that we can sort of pull on, and there are multiple stories that will kind of lead us back to how you got here. But maybe today, since this is a podcast primarily to help healers and coaches who are on this journey, I know that a lot of people have suffered quite a bit uh, during COVID, whether it was their own lives or whether it was people around them. And there's this new understanding and a new realization to healing, whether it's in one's own life or saying that, okay, I experienced healing and now I want to help other people, right? So coaching as we know it today is very different as it, say compared to 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, even, right? So there's been a huge shift. And this podcast is primarily to help coaches and healers who are struggling, who are looking, who are either on the up and up, or they're sort of like in that trough of life, the tough trough. So the intention is that your story will also remind them that there's a reason why they're going through what they're going through, right? So maybe if you could walk us through, like, how did you get here? Like, you're doing so many of these things, and it sounds like you're juggling multiple roles and you're wearing multiple hats. But like, how did you get here? What if you were to say, okay, this is the story, this is how I got here? How far back would you go, and walk us through from there to now?
Okay, I mean, I would say my journey started way before I even realized that
Mm,
this is my calling or this is what I'm destined to do.
mm,
It started way beyond before that, and obviously at that time I had no clue, and it was very tough for me. It's only when I connect the dots, when I look back and say that, oh my God, you know, they're all help. So let me tell you from there. So. Uh, I've, I mean, if there are people who are struggling, if there are people who are going through tough times, okay, if your calling is
mm,
to be a healer, if your
mm,
calling is to help others through their struggles,
mm,
be ready to go through your struggles.
mm,
It's a blessing,
mm,
okay, because all these experiences are only preparing you to become who you can be, not just
mm,
who you are right now, but who you
mm,
can be. Because
mm,
what I was when I started with my challenges in life, it's nothing uh, like who I am today.
mm,
Okay, so I've had to restart my life from scratch multiple times in my life,
mm,
and trust me, it was not easy. The
mm,
first time it happened was way back when I was when I was in the Indian Navy. I served. So I'm Commander Bimal Raj. Served 17 years in the Indian Navy. Okay, so my first thing started while I was in the Navy. Okay,
mm,
one incident happened. Then one major incident happened while I was, another major. The second one, that major thing that happened, I'll talk a little bit about that.
mm,
Okay, that I met with a very serious road accident.
mm,
I was on a bike and I had a head-on collision with a truck. So you can imagine.
mm,
I was in the hospital for 2 years. Okay, and this was way back in 1998.
wow.
So in 1998, there was no concept of internet. There was no
Mm,
concept of mobile phones,
mm,
uh, and there was no concept of personal uh, development or anything like that. So
mm,
I'm lying on the hospital bed, and
mm,
interestingly, we were a group of officers going out for dinner, and we were about 7 or 8 bikes. Okay,
wow.
and I was the only one who was not drunk. Okay,
Mm,
and nothing happened to anyone else. So if something like this happens to any one of us, we normally go into the entire
mm,
rhetoric of, why did this happen to me, why me, and I was exactly on that trip for the initial couple of months. I was on a constant argument with God, saying that, boss, you made some mistake,
mm,
I should not be here. I'm
mm,
a good person. I'm actually a good person. I
mhm,
don't mean ill for anyone else.
mm,
And on top of everything else, I'm the only one who was in proper senses. And why should I end up here? So you did some mistake. No, you
mm,
make it all right.
mm,
So I was in this constant bickering and
mm,
crying and everything for the initial couple of months. Okay.
mm,
And like I said, there was nothing. There was nobody to tell me that okay, it is all right. Give them a different perspective, like what we do for others,
mhm,
saying that okay, it is going to make you strong. Nothing.
mm,
I was in a pit, and I had no clue how to get out.
uh,
And I realized that I was just at it reached a point. It
mm,
reached a point where I got tired of my own whining.
wow.
Okay. And I realized that I am in a pit.
Mm,
Instead of looking at ways I can get out of the pit,
mm,
I was only digging myself more and more in. Okay, that's when I realized, "Ki, boss, the world is moving on.
mm,
I look around and I see people happy. They may be in
mm,
hospital, but they are happy. They are going ahead with their lives. And gently, the world around me is happy. And I was the only one who was miserable
mm,
among all these people. So unless I change,
mm,
things are not going to change. And that is when since I was alone in the hospital, military hospital, no, you can't have
mm,
so many visitors and all.
mm,
So I had to figure it out myself.
mm,
And it was tough. It was very tough. I had to have conversations that I did not want to have. I
mm,
had to face truths that I did not want to face.
mm,
But it's only after I did that I was able to do a 180-degree shift
wow.
in my attitude. And the same
Mm,
place, which was horrible and miserable for me, became
mm,
one of the most beautiful memories that I treasure even now.
uh,
So that was starting point. And so I had gone through something before also, and
mm,
then going forward I had couple of others. And so I realized that after 2 3 times, no, I'm not recommending that you should do it 2 3 times, but
mm,
when I went through it 2 3 times, I realized that okay, there is a pattern, as in there
mm,
is a way to get out of this.
mm,
So by the third or fourth time, my turnaround time was much faster than my
us.
very first time.
Mm,
So I realized that okay, it's everything is with me. I cannot
mm,
control what happened to me or what
mm,
happened with me. It I had to take either 100% responsibility of what happened. I had a complete financial wipeout. Okay, I have to
mm,
take complete 100% responsibility. Okay, till the time I didn't do that, I couldn't move forward. I
mm,
can say the bike accident was not my fault because the truck
mm,
driver lost control. But that's only one part of the story of
mm,
what happened. I still had to take 100% responsibility of how I move forward from there. But
mm,
there are times, life just happens, and how much ever you try to uh, get logic to it. As human
mm,
beings, we need to find some logic,
yeah.
something to fit that situation. Okay, so that we feel ki, हाँ ठीक है. We feel in control. So that's
Mm,
why sometimes we blame other people, we blame incidents and a lot of things. But there are times when even if you try hard, no, you can't find answers.
mm,
You just got to take it on your stride.
mm,
In one of the trainings I attended, it's called Ultimate Leadership
mm,
Certification. And there was this sergeant from the US Armed Forces who was teaching us,
uh,
who was doing our ragada, whatever that he had.
mhm,
So he says that when going gets tough, no, you just got to say one thing, no, suck it up. That's it.
mm,
You
mm,
can't fight and argue out of things. So there'll be many times when uh, there was many times when I had to do it, and at one
mm,
point over a period of time, I realized that I can go through a period of mourning or desperation and
mm,
stuff like that, but till the
mm,
time I do not decide to take 100% responsibility of what next. That's the
mm,
name of my book also. What next?
mm,
Till the time I don't ask that question, I cannot move forward. I will always be in that
mm,
space. So that is, I think that it is only because of all these incidents that I'm a very good coach
mm,
with people, and I'm able to connect with people at a much better, much deeper level. And
mm,
I have no clue. I mean, when I get into coaching, I just become a medium. That's what
mm,
I've realized, because
mm,
sometimes after the session, I wonder, oh, what was that? Where did that come from? I've asked questions that has shocked me more than
mm,
the coachee. So if you're going through struggles, if you're going through uh, any tough challenges,
mm,
okay, uh, see what you can learn from it. See what
mm,
you get out of it. It's very true that what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
mm,
Okay, and my
mm,
coaching journey also started because immediately after my financial wipeout, we were about to retire financially, and that's when everything was
mm,
taken away. So after whatever period of mourning and complaining and everything, then when I decided to move forward, I said, okay, what are my skills? That's the only thing I had.
mm,
Okay, a few $1,000 in the bank account and with a family to look after. Said, what do I have? I had my skills, and people have been telling me that I have put on the hat of a coach and a mentor for many years, informally. Okay,
mm,
not as a trained one. And that's when people said, I mean, you're so good. Why don't you just get yourself certified so that you officially become a coach? And that's when I got into an international certification with respect to coaching, and
mm,
there has been no looking back from there. So
mm.
I spoke a lot, I think.
No, no,
No,
not at all. Just the right amount. So, just from a timeline perspective, like you said, how old were you when you actually joined the Indian Navy?
I joined after you were expect me to reveal my age, huh, Rahul. I, I joined Indian Navy in 92.
92. Okay.
92, 80. I think I mean, like, I think I was about 18 or 19 years old.
Mm. And for about, you said about 18, 19 years you served,
17 years, 17
17
years
years you served,
I served in the Navy.
right? And then, there was that time when you chose to move
Move
on,
out,
move
yes.
out, right? And so from there, then you had this next, the next season or next, like now we live in the world of OTT. So it was like the
Yeah,
next season. And this was where you were, like you said, you were in a different profile.
yes.
And that was the journey that you just shared. And where you
Okay.
reached so that was for about how long? Like how many years would that have been?
That was okay. My that journey of an entrepreneurship, parallel entrepreneurship that I did with
Mm,
Pallavi, my wife. We did it together. We started around 2005, 2006,
mm.
and it went on for till about 2014.
Wow,
So when
that's
2010, when I left, we were doing extremely well, and that's the reason
mm,
I did. And plus, after the accident, I had a medical challenge,
mm,
so
mm,
I knew that I wouldn't reach great heights with respect
mm,
to bank, and I'll be very
mm,
restricted. I couldn't go back to a ship which I loved.
mm,
So that's when, and we had a very large team at that point in
mm.
time, and they required our support, and it's not fair to have people in the team and not provide them the
Right,
required support. So that
right.
all these things I
Mm,
decided to come out of the Navy,
mm,
and that's lasted till 2014. In 2015, I had my own startup which I set
mm.
up in Hyderabad. That's how I reached Hyderabad
Nice.
with two other very close friends. And
Mm,
we did everything. We had an amazing product, way ahead of its time.
mm.
Uh, okay, and there's a lot of things that we had planned. I see these new apps implementing now.
Yeah.
Okay, but unfortunately, and we had a I was looking after sales and marketing.
Mm,
So I said, let me just get a feedback from the market. So
mm,
I had a sales team. I sent people out with just a pamphlet, no product, nothing.
mm,
Go to these small
mm.
businesses and tell them this is what we are planning to launch. Are you willing to pay for it now? We collected more than 40 lakhs from the market just from
Wow.
one city. Okay. And anyway, to cut the long story short, 2 weeks before the launch, we had to shut it because the other two founders were headed in opposite direction.
Mm,
And we tried a lot to resolve it. It didn't happen. So I said it's better to not escalate this
mm,
further. And so that was again I had to start from scratch.
mm,
So from there, I was always in personal development. See,
mm,
in 2005
mm,
is when I got exposed to personal development, and the
mm,
just the idea, the concept that
mm,
I can be more than who I think I am.
mm,
That was mind blowing for me. I said,
mm,
man, I can be more. I can be
mm,
bigger. I can be better than who I am right now. I was so fascinated and in love with the concept. I went full fledged into it. Okay, so that was
mm,
always very, very close to my heart, and I constantly pursued it despite whatever else I was doing. So
mm,
in 2017, Pallavi and I decided, let's not depend or have uh, partners from outside. Why don't we start? We are so good at
mm,
training and coaching, and that's when we started. We've been in the field, but we had our own company.
mm,
That's when we started, and challenges never stopped. And
mm,
so that's the time Millionaire Mind Intensive happened in Hyderabad for the first
mm,
time. Okay, in
mm,
2005, I had when I had gotten to personal development, so I was thirsty. I was like a sponge.
mm,
I
mm.
was looking everywhere. Okay, what to watch, what to read, and I saw Millionaire Mind Intensive, and
Wow.
I listened to T. Harv Eker, and with great disappointment,
Oh,
I
amazing.
realized that it's not there in India.
Right.
So I had set the intention. So once our startup collapsed, so I think
Mm,
in the same month, Pallavi got one random WhatsApp message saying that कि
mm,
Millionaire Mind Intensive happening in Hyderabad.
mm.
करके 1+1 ticket. I said, I think looks like a sign. It is never from after
Yeah.
2005. I'm
Yeah.
coming hearing about
Mm,
Millionaire Mind Intensive
mm,
now. He said, let's go. So we went, and it took a complete turn, and that's where we met Suren, who's the owner of Success Gyan and a very, very close friend. He's like a mentor to us also. So, so we knew this is what uh, we wanted to do, but we didn't have
mm,
the money because everything is gone. So we just had enough money to give the deposit
mm,
for, and we both wanted to do. Okay, and we swiped our card and we said, if it is meant to be, it will happen. Money
mm,
will come from somewhere. It will show up from somewhere. And that's what happened. We did all their courses, and they have a training called Making the Stage. It's very high value.
mm,
Um, we both did that. I think that the first time both husband and wife did
mm,
MTS together. And incidentally, that's also the time where they select trainers for their
mm.
company. And that's where we both got selected for
Wow.
training Millennium and Intensive. So no,
Wow.
I keep saying that I'm the first T. Harv Eker, the first Indian trainer to be on T. Harv Eker stage. But the fact is that
Correct.
we both got selected to be on T. Harv Eker stage at the same time.
Wow.
But
Wow.
then we discussed with Suren. He said there's a lot of travel that's going to happen. It's very
Mm,
intensive. So that's when Pallavi said, "Okay, you take this on. I will not pursue this." So that's how
mm,
I did. Then I did the entire Blair Singer Training Academy. So life has been absolutely amazing. And
mm,
there's one thing I want to tell all of you. Okay, this is something that Blair uh, taught us.
mm,
Taught me when I was in UPDP in Arizona. Okay, he
mm,
said that if you are supposed to do, if
mm,
you are if you are doing what you're supposed to do according to the universe, what is according to your true calling and your true purpose, money will show up.
mm,
Okay, you will be provided with the resources to continue on your journey. You may not, even if you don't make a lot of money, you will constantly have resources that turn up and show up, so that
mm,
you continue your journey and help other people. And that was absolutely amazing. From the time, I actually sat and I realized that, boss, when
mm,
we signed up for Millionaire Mind.
mm,
Uh, After Millionaire Mind Intensive, it's an amazing program. If you haven't done it, you must do it.
mm,
And it's not an expensive program. Then we signed up for something called as Quantum Leap there, and
mm,
that's a lot of money. And
yeah,
like I said, we only had money to pay the
mm,
deficit. We did that. We did uh, MTS together after that, and
mm,
I did the entire BSTA,
mm,
and money kept showing up. People
wow,
came forward to help. Somebody gave, everything
mm,
happened, and that's a message. So if you are doing
mm,
what you're supposed to be doing, do not worry. The universe will take care of you. It may not be
mm,
in opulence yet, okay. So once,
mm,
but it will help you continue your journey. And if
yeah,
you are able to do that, know that you are doing the right thing in your life.
mm, beautiful, beautiful. This is something that I can tell you, and we had set an intention just before we began.
Right.
I know that, Bimal, there are like hundreds of people that at some point will turn around and say, Bimal, you probably don't remember this, but just randomly I found this video floating around on the net. And what you said was exactly what I needed to hear.
Wow. Yeah. And I've never shared this in. I've done a lot of podcasts, but I've never shared this message
Yeah.
anywhere else.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This, what came to me last year was sort of like, it's literally now it's been a year since the idea came that okay, it's time has come to to do podcasts. And at the beginning of this year of 2024, I had set this to myself that I will do 100 of these, right?
Wow.
And in spite of everything, today we're at 37. Like I was joking with the guests before, we do two typically on one day. That traditionally you would say, oh, you got 36 on 100 or you got
Mhm.
37 on 100, right? But the power of what our intention is, and how this happens, as you rightly said, it's like when we're living on purpose,
Right.
where it's a different air altogether,
True.
you know
You're absolutely
and
right.
I still remember, I mean, you're talking about your journey of 2017, right? That was when you did that entire set of courses through the
Right.
year. I'm guessing you'd have done them one after the other,
Yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah.
ending in 2018, I think.
Yes.
You'd have done from 17 to 18. Usually
Right.
that would be the cycle pre-COVID, right?
Right.
Now
Right.
it's a little different post-COVID. And in 2019, when I did exactly like what you said, it's like no money, no this, no that, but okay, somewhere you feel like, okay, you're meant to do this. It was literally like all the way till MTS, where you were there, Train the Trainer, where you were there, Pallavi was there as well.
Right.
So it's so beautiful. Um, to hear this from you, and now of course this is in hindsight, so you're not just saying it, you've lived it, you've seen, as you said so many times, there's the question that comes up, which is what's next, right?
Right.
So this is such a powerful message that it's already out there,
Right.
so thank you for just really like like they say, right, around the campfire you had the talking stick, and it's not just some device, it's like there's power imbued in it, and today that talking stick for us is the mic, you
Right.
know so it's such a powerful message, and I genuinely mean it, that I will not be surprised if some point, some years later, you're like, hey Rahul, by the way, you remember some years ago you had said this thing, and it happens. Like
Right.
I had this I was on a call with somebody barely 2 days ago, and this person was telling me that you had posted a video 3 years ago as a fellow student on a different course.
Mhm.
I didn't know what that would do to that person.
Right.
And 3 years later, we're on a call.
True.
right? So I'm just saying that this, it's so powerful, like this
Absolutely
work that we're doing, like when they say, like, this is like we're really doing God's work, it's true.
true.
So such a beautiful way in which you've framed it, and I'm like literally getting goosebumps even right now as I'm
And one more thing I want to share. It's not the story is not finished,
mm.
right? Okay. So I did all that, and I was on a high, and I was like, I. So then I got, uh, you know, I was doing MMIs.
Mm,
So we had, there are two stages, three stages. There is the main trainer, then there is
mm,
assistant trainer.
mm,
There is something called as assistant trainer in training.
mm,
Okay. So as assistant trainer in training, I mean both assistant trainer and main trainer obviously gets paid. Their
mm,
travel is taken care of, stay is taken care of. But
mm,
ATT, assistant trainer in training, we have to spend our own money.
mm,
So we have to do that for about 4 or 5, MMIs till we prove ourselves.
mm,
So we were so eager. I said, let's. Some people take years to,
mm,
get confirmed as an AT.
mm,
Said, no, I want to have a much bigger experience and I want to cut short the journey. So we burnt everything that we had, and I traveled to Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, all these places to
mm.
assist and spending my own money.
Mm.
And within 1 year, I got confirmed as assistant trainer.
Wow,
Okay,
wow.
for two uh, MMIs. One was in Singapore, and so one was in Vietnam, and the other was in Thailand. Okay, and and I booked the flight for Vietnam and everything, and Thailand I was about to leave. Okay,
Mm,
and 2 weeks before my MMI was to happen in Thailand, India went into a lockdown.
mm,
Okay, and that was tough for me.
yeah.
You know what happens is that you go through a failure and you get back up and you say, okay, now I've learned from it. Now I'm going to go give
Mm,
my everything, and you go full speed, full commitment. You reach the pinnacle and top, go down.
mm,
How many times will you keep getting up?
yeah.
Okay, my answer is till you start running.
Ooh.
Okay, so that time, so for me at that time when this MMI thing happened, I was crushed. Being
Mm,
very honest.
mm,
And I actually asked how many times,
mm,
people say there is a time to sow, there is a time to reap.
mm,
I've been sowing, sowing, sowing. Where's the time to reap? I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of desires. And I work bloody hard for anything that I get
mm,
after. It's not that I was trying to find any shortcut. No, I'm not
mm,
taking shortcuts. After putting in all this, not fair.
mm,
How many times? This
yeah.
was my question.
Mm,
And I literally crawled into a bed,
mm,
and I wanted to just sleep for a month, and I did that for a month almost. Okay, but at one point I realized that yes, I still have responsibilities.
mm,
And incidentally, we both were in training industry. Pallavi is also in the event industry, and these are the industries that got affected the most.
yeah.
That means absolutely no income coming in.
Mm,
Okay, so and I was struggling with that, and
mm,
lockdown was pretty long.
yeah.
COVID was pretty long, way
Mm,
beyond what we all expected, and especially for a format like ours, where I only did live training. I used to do parenting workshops, but live.
mm,
MMI crowd is anywhere between 800 to 3,000. When would you get such a crowd together again? Not happening. Okay, and so I had to take a call. So
mm,
in life, we cannot sit on our ego saying that
mm,
I was an internationally certified trainer, coach, NLP practitioner, you name it. I've done a lot of stuff and I'm very
mm,
good at it.
mm,
So for me, my first responsibility and my first commitment is
mm,
to my family. Okay, nothing comes above that. And that's the time my friend, who was also one of the partners in that company,
mm,
he runs a big company. So I had a conversation with him, and he said, "Your main background, my educational background is BTech in mechanical engineering and IT. I've spent a lot of time in 5 to 7 years in IT, developed a lot of systems for the Indian Navy
mm,
in a team. Okay,
mm,
Said, why don't you come and see us through some of our projects?
Mm.
Okay, he is doing something called as micro irrigation, and there is a component where
Mm.
mechanical and IT intersects. So I said, fine. I jumped at it. I said, I'll see through the projects. And incidentally,
Mm.
and that stabilized my ship.
Mm.
When I realized that I could stabilize and give
Nice.
what is required for my
Mm.
family, it
Mm.
brought a lot of peace and stability to me.
Mm.
For me, at that point in time, my priorities were very, very clear. Okay, it did not, if you would have to take a different course for a short period of time,
Mm.
it does not mean that you don't love who you are or what you
Mm.
really want to do. Okay, it is at that
Mm.
point in time what is important to you. Okay, but I went through it, and interestingly,
Mm.
after COVID finished off, I got a call back from the company Success Resources.
Mm.
They called me back to this thing. So it was, my dream was coming back to me,
Mm.
but for me, my commitment was more important. Okay, so I said no to them. He said,
Mm.
see, at that point in time, I asked everybody. So when is MMI starting? Can you give me, a forecast in 6 months, 1 year, so that I can plan my life.
Correct.
So nobody had a clue. So
Yeah.
I was left to myself. Then I took my decision,
Mm.
and I stood by my decision. And I said,
Mm.
just because somebody helped me when I was down, I'm not going to walk out on him because now my thing is come back.
Mm.
So I said no to them. And because of that, I am where I am today with
Mm.
our charismatic communicators hub. Because if I had got busy with MMIs, I wouldn't have been
Mm.
able to commit so much time for building our community. So
Mm.
be true to your values.
Mm.
Be don't look for shortcuts.
Mm.
Okay, uh, honor your word to other people, and the universe has a way of testing you. It'll keep testing you, and especially when you know getting. For me, it was tough because
Mm.
I got a call not from Success Gan, I got a call from Success Resources, the parent
Great.
company. Okay, and I couldn't take it. It was not in my DNA to do
Mm.
that. Okay, I mean, my friend would have said, "Go, man, doesn't matter,"
Mm.
because he's too big a guy.
Mm.
Okay, but as a person, as a human being,
Mm.
I couldn't live with that. It was
Mm.
not fair, right? So that's when it happened, and then I was stabilizing the ship, and that's where Pallavi started our charismatic communicators hub. And
Mm.
my whole idea was to give her support, back in
Mm.
support and all.
Mm.
And I got inspired with her belief. I got
Mm.
inspired with her commitment
Mm.
to what she was doing, and I got involved more and more. She never asked me specifically, do this, do that. I got inspired and I got
Mm.
sucked into it because of her passion, her commitment, and the kind of results that she was giving to other people. And
Mm.
that is priceless.
Mm.
When somebody comes and tell you, like
Yeah.
Rahul said, what you said or what you did to me that day changed my life. You can't buy that with money,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so that's my journey till now. Lots of ups and downs,
Mm.
but be steadfast. Okay, just keep going, and don't have ego. If
Mm.
I could have said that no, I'm so and so. I should not be. I came out of a job and I went back into a job. It's okay.
Mm.
Okay, who said you can't go back?
Mm.
If that is the requirement, your ego shouldn't make your family suffer. Your
Mm.
ego shouldn't make other people suffer. That's not a good uh, being of
Mm.
you, right? We are
Mm.
beings, right?
Mm.
That's not being in authenticity,
Mm.
because
Nice.
your life is not just about you. It's your
Mm.
life has a ripple effect on a lot of people around you.
mm,
who may be looking up to you. You may not even
mm,
know it.
mm,
You're spreading a message every single time.
mm.
So
Wow,
be who you are.
beautiful. Wow, very, very powerful. So, I'm just taking a moment to absorb so much of what you've said, and this is really the power of when you live your life and you get to then share your story.
Yeah,
It creates the kind of ripples that I'm sure you're seeing, pretty much every day, where there'll be people telling you, Bimal sir, like something that you said just completely moved me. It changed the way I think about my life, the way I think about my family, my kids. These are, I'm sure, stories that you come across pretty much every day. So, you did briefly talk about community. So
yeah.
this is probably a good time to ask you more about, your what have been your stories, your journey of experiencing community, and then of course today where you are sort of shoulder to shoulder building community. So I'd love to hear your what's that journey been like for you.
Okay. So journey has been amazing. Okay.
Mm,
I'm very I'm a very different person from
mm,
Pallavi.
mm,
Pallavi is all energy, energy, and
mm,
uh, and I have a lot of energy. I mean, like I'm talking right now. You won't
mm,
find me talking like this when I'm having a conversation,
mm,
normal conversation. Okay, that's what Pallavi complains also
mm,
about. Okay, I'm very secluded kind of a person. I'm
mm,
very with me
mm,
kind of a person. Okay, so I to be very very honest, uh, I am not as good as you or Pallavi in building communities.
mm,
I'm that way. You can say I'm like a khadus.
mm,
You know, I I'm very good at coaching people. I'm very
mm,
good at bringing the best out of people.
mm,
But you know, uh, doing that with an entire community on a daily basis, that motivational messages,
mm,
I'm not very consistent with that, and
mm,
that has not been my strength yet. At
mm,
least I've not tried it out. I've not fully committed to it. It's all here
mm.
at the end of the day.
Correct.
I know that I can do it if I decide to do
Mm.
it. Okay, but I've not reached that stage where I said,
Right.
okay, let me get into it.
Right.
So that's a switch that has
Mm.
not happened.
Mm.
So community has been absolutely amazing. Okay, so
Mm.
we've been community builders actually.
Yeah.
Right in the beginning, in 2005, I told you
Mm.
we were into entrepreneurship. We were actually
Mm.
into and a 100% e-commerce based networking business. Okay,
Mm.
and that is where I realized the power of communities.
Mm.
Okay, and there I was meeting such an amazing diverse set of people.
Mm.
There were CEOs I was talking to, there were techies I was talking to, there were homemakers I was talking to, there were artists I was talking to. And the moment I was interested in them, it was beautiful. I enjoyed every
Mm.
single conversation, and we became like one family.
Mm.
They would come over house, we will chill out, we will also do business and stuff like that. So we have that connect with our people. So for
Mm.
us it's like a family.
Yeah.
And we believe in one thing, give more than
Mm.
what we offer, as we
Mm.
promise.
Mm.
Okay, uh, under promise and over deliver is something that comes default for both Pallavi and I.
Mm.
And you can ask anybody in our community about that.
Mm.
And so I realized that if I genuinely, I mean, not word wise, if from my heart I
Mm.
genuinely care for my people, they know it.
Mm.
Okay, you don't, whether you're a community builder, not a community builder, doesn't matter.
Correct.
People know it.
Yeah. True.
Okay, and they connect at a very different level, and it is
Mm,
beautiful. We had
mm.
our first event
Yes.
last year. You saw the kind of love and affection that, and with the first time we all met physically, right?
Right.
And that was totally magical. It was
Mm,
absolutely magical. I think
mm,
uh, if you should build communities.
mm,
It's just about learning how to build communities, because that's a legacy that you will be
mm,
leaving. Okay, you can be a loner, you can be a superstar and do stuff and go. Some people will remember you for, okay, he was a good teacher,
mm,
okay, he taught good stuff. But
mm,
when you build community, when you connect with people at a very heart level, at a soul level,
mm.
they remember you as who you are
Nice.
and how you have transformed their lives.
Mm,
And you cannot build community without transforming other people's lives.
mm. Beautiful.
Okay.
One, I would be remiss, as they say in the English language, if I didn't ask you this question because it's very unique to you.
Okay.
And this is still in the context of community, you have been through the whole process of getting into the Indian Navy, which
Right.
is all about community, right? I mean, that's the I mean, and as an army kid, it's something I have seen. In my first ever
Right.
recollection of that has been, from the time I could make connections to, oh, this is where I am, or this is what's happening. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, because again, it's very rare that one hears about the experiences of people who are in the armed forces, right?
Ah, okay.
So and this question is slightly different in that, you've, as you said, you've seen community in different avatars,
Right.
right? And like you said, it's just a switch. Who knows whether that switch comes on now or not, but it's like, it's just a switch. But you've seen different versions and variations of that community, right?
Right.
Or the spirit of community. So you wherever you feel sort of drawn to speak, do share your take on community, um, from the many different chapters or
Yeah.
points in your life.
So when it comes to armed forces, it's a very different ball game. Okay.
Mm,
We they say na, tragedies bring people together.
mm,
So it's like it's not tragedy, but the thing is that uh, to get selected in the armed forces, you got to be a certain way.
correct.
So the people, we were a batch of 60, and each 60 of us, we were extremely good. We had
Yeah.
leadership qualities.
Mm,
They look for something like called uh, OLQ, officer
mm,
like quality.
right.
You have it or you don't.
Mm,
That means you are a different breed. So you have 60 of us, each very confident, very articulate, very, in
mm,
very good as leaders. They all put
mm,
together. Okay, so we all come with our beings and our egos and stuff like that.
mhm,
So the beauty of armed forces cadet training is that the first year is just about crushing you.
mm,
Okay, it's like you come in different. It's like you break rocks. No,
mm. Nice.
it's very difficult to pack it onto a truck because it is in various different shapes and forms. It's not optimal. So we come like that.
Mm,
So what they do is that they crush you, make us into powders, and make bricks out of us.
mm,
Okay, so we are called the lowest form of marine life in the
mm.
junior most year, and we are put together. Uh, there's a lot of heat all around us.
Yeah.
Okay, when there is a lot of heat all around us, we bond.
Mm.
Okay,
Nice.
we are put in the worst situations possible, and that is we've seen the worst of each other.
Mm,
Okay, there's nothing hidden from each other. It is so
mm.
bad. So at that level, we bond, and that bond is for life. I could
Nice.
I could be not in touch with my coursemate for decades together,
Mm,
but if I know that he's here, I can walk into his home at 12 at night
mm,
without even calling him. So
mm,
that's a very different bond.
mm,
Okay, and that
mm.
happens at the prime of the year. That
Yes.
is like 18, 19, 20 years. We are going through, we are rolling together, we are rolling in the mud, or do all that kind of stuff,
Mm,
and that brings us together. That so the concept of ghostmate is precious,
mm,
extremely precious. Okay, we are like brothers for life.
mm,
We used to say that, I can be lying down on the floor, I can see the
mm.
backside of a person's leg, as in the calf, and tell you who that
Oh,
guy is
yes.
out of
Mm,
60. So utna close ho jata hai. So we came together for survival, you can say that.
mm.
Not typically the survival, but for
Yeah.
making sure that we are together. So,
Mm,
and the training is also like that. So there is no room for upmanship.
mm,
So people, they test, seniors teachers said,
mm,
go test that and then come back. The first three people can secure. The first three people don't get secure.
mm.
Okay, so then we realized that, boss, if you want to do something, we got to be one. We got to
Yeah.
do things together.
Mm,
So that's the camaraderie that we talk
mm,
about, and that is important. So in Navy, we don't go to the front. We don't face
mm,
bullets head on.
mm,
But in the
mm,
army and all, that's what
mm.
bonds them. Okay,
Yeah.
that's way beyond any other relationship.
Mm,
So when it comes to outside, the people are intelligent. They have,
mm,
so here the egos were crushed and we are put into a cauldron, and we
mm,
had to bond. In normal life, it is not like that. People
mm,
don't need to listen to you. They have their egos and they will sit on their egos till the time they know you. Till the
mm,
time they realize that, boss, this guy is genuine, or this
mm,
woman is
mm,
genuine, and he
mm.
really wants me to do well. He
Yeah.
has my best interest in his heart. The moment he realizes that deep in his spirit, now
Mm,
he will be yours. I'm not saying follower. I'm not giving any word to it,
mm, mm.
but he'll be connected with you for life.
Yeah.
Okay,
True.
so that's a very different dynamics when we are out in the world, and the work that we are doing, it's
Mm.
very tough. So the forge is tough in a
Yeah.
very different
Yeah.
way, but here, connecting with people, not easy.
Yeah.
You can't be a teacher and be superficial. You cannot be a
Mm,
coach and be superficial. If you are, I remember once I went on stage and I
mm,
froze for a moment. Then I said that I was very young that time. I saw people in front of me, grown up people much elder to me, sitting with their notebooks and pen ready to write down notes on what I was going to tell them.
mm,
And it hit me. I went back and I thought about it. Boss, it's not about being on stage.
mm,
That's easy.
mm,
Okay. But it is about the fact that I should do justice to the people who are elder to me but are willing to listen to me and learn from
mm,
me. And that was a big realization for me. And that is the realization that I've carried all through. So I have a thirst for knowledge.
mm,
I must have purchased some 10, 15 courses which I have not even started.
mm.
I said no. So it's about toolbox. If you are a
Yeah.
coach or a healer, we all have toolboxes.
Mm,
Okay. So never limit yourself saying that, okay, this is my toolbox. I'm
mm,
good at this. No, you need to
mm,
keep increasing your toolbox.
mm,
Okay. You could be, the reason why attend workshops, the reason I sign up for courses is that even if I can get one thing which I can use to help other people,
mm,
I will use it. I will not see. I have helped people. I'm an EFT practitioner. I've done a
mm,
workshop on EFT, but I never say that I'm an EFT practitioner.
mm,
But I've used that tool
mm,
to help people.
mm.
Okay, as a coach. So don't limit yourself to one particular area. The knowledge is out there. It's like the ocean,
Mm,
and it's the onus is on you and me. The responsibility is on you and me to make sure that we provide 200% to the people who are
yeah,
putting money on us.
true.
as long, so keep growing, keep
Mm,
increasing the size of your toolbox, and you will keep attracting people.
mm. Beautiful. So, there are two things here. I know that we will definitely be doing a part two at some point, because there are some elements that I definitely want you to share more of, your learnings, things that you've picked up over a period of time. One of them is, of course, podcasting. You mentioned, that you started a podcast. So, a couple of things as we slowly start to, gather the pieces to wrap part one, shall we
Right.
say. um, so one is, maybe if you could share, like, how did podcasting come about for you? What was that journey for you? Like, what stands out as, okay, there was that moment, and then you said, okay, this is what it is, and then now you're at this point where, you've been able to build a flow to podcasting, because everybody hears about, do podcasting, do this, do that, and then, some people pick one of them,
Yeah.
or they sort of like they hone in on one which they really feel connected to, and then that sort of becomes, that's something that grows with time. So, personally, and I'm sure even as a tool, I know this can definitely help a lot of coaches and healers in the coming days.
Okay. So uh, I'm also a parenting coach.
Mm,
That's very close to my heart. I can
mm,
talk for parenting for days. So when it comes to this podcasting, one of the reason I mentioned parenting is that there are a lot of topics that parents does not talk to children
mm,
about. Okay, if you listen to my podcast, you will realize there are a lot of stuff which are addressed to parents, which are addressed for parents to know so that they can teach
mm,
their kids and stuff like that.
mm, mm,
Okay, so podcasting happened after my book uh, got not even got published, got accepted by
mm,
this. So they had this cohort going on for
mm,
author becoming a podcaster. I said, see, I've already written everything in the book. I don't want to again talk about the same things.
mm,
I'll get bored. Uh, he said, no, you can do anything. I said, okay, fine. Then let me talk about stuff that people will not talk about. Okay, so I that way I have something called as courage of conviction. So if
mm,
I am convinced that I'm doing the right thing, I don't care.
mm,
So that's how I started. I have a very close friend. Her name is Uma. The book came out, I would say, primarily because of her, because
mm,
she is a writer.
mm,
She has been a journalist all her life and worked
mm,
with some of the biggest publications, the Hindu and all those
mm,
things. Okay, so she and I worked in our company, the startup. Okay, that's where we got met. And
mm,
she's from Bombay. Pallavi is from Bombay. They also connected. So we became a nice three group group of three.
mm,
Okay, so she somehow uh, realized that there is a writer in me, and
mm,
we became very good friends. She is my best friend now. So she used to nag me, saying, "You should write a book. You should write a book. You should." I said, "No, yeah, what it's too much effort and all." So finally, she literally nagged and harassed this book out of. Okay, writing is completely mine, but she used to just do that, ligna, yeah, ligna, that kind of thing. So I definitely give that credit to her, and
mm,
so we are, even in parenting, we used to discuss a lot. We used to fight with each other, and
mm,
if so, we are very strong personality, both her and I, and we are very strong when it comes to parenting.
mm,
She's from that Tambram family, so very traditional values. So we used to fight, and one person had to convince the other.
mm.
Okay, so it got bulletproofed that way.
Nice.
So that is when we said, yeah, we should talk something which really impacts people. I now
Mm,
never start a podcast for monetizing. Your
mm,
monetizing will happen when you
mm,
have like 20,000 downloads every episode, and all.
mm,
You'll get frustrated if money is your this
mm,
thing. If it happens, it's good. But today I know that my podcast is and do something that connects with you. So
mm,
the actual podcast listeners are a very young group of people, 19 to
mm.
like 25 and all.
Wow.
And these people said that you should aim for those kind of the topics and stuff like
Mm,
that. I said I will talk about the topic that I am convinced about.
mm,
Then we'll see who listens to my podcast.
Right.
So today, my podcast about 60% of audience is from the age 40 to 45. 35 to 45 is my
Mm,
audience. Okay, now
mm,
I see that the younger ones have started listening to my podcast. It
mm,
seems the school where my daughter Gia goes,
mm,
I the owner of the school or the
mm,
principal, we are like one big family. So I
mm.
send her also this, and she has sent
All
some of
right.
my podcast to
Nice.
the students. He said you should listen to it, Karke.
Mm,
Okay, so I started that, and today it's being listened in over 30 countries.
nice.
Some of the countries I didn't even know existed. Okay, so I do podcasts because I love talking about
Mm,
stuff. I keep
mm,
it short. Whatever I want to share, I share, and I share what I'm convinced of and what I believe
mm,
people should
mm,
know.
mm,
It's a beautiful journey. It's a lot of fun if you love doing it.
mm,
Don't do it as an obligation. Don't do it because it is mandatory. Like what you
mm.
are doing, Rahul. I can't even think 100 episodes. But I've crossed 50.
Yeah,
I, I
exactly.
I didn't even realize. Oh my God, I've crossed
Yeah,
so much.
yeah,
So follow your passion.
yeah.
Podcast is beautiful. It helps you connect with a lot of audience. People
Mm,
come back to you from countries that you don't even uh,
mm,
know. So you're
mm,
getting into a much wider audience, new customers who would see. Another thing about podcast, I'll make it quick, is that
mm,
it's very personal.
mm,
It's like me talking to you.
mm,
It's just audio, so you're completely immersed in that. It's
mm,
not like video. Okay, you're doing something. You're not. So audio means you're very very attentive to it.
mm,
Okay, and if it's not a very long one, then people can uh, listen to it whatever they are doing. A lot of my friends listen to my podcast when they are driving to work and coming
mm,
back and stuff like that.
mm,
So podcast is a beautiful way to connect with a lot of people. Share your ideas, let them know
mm,
who you are, what your beliefs are. So a lot of people will connect with you whom you may not even expect.
mm. Nice. Beautiful. So, like I said, the one thing definitely at some point, I know the time will show itself. Um, there's a lot of technical hurdles that you have gone past,
Yeah,
right? Which I'm sure people will benefit from, when they hear you. And as I was telling you some time back, that in the new year there is another conversation that will happen in the context of of starting this podcasting journey, because
right,
you talked about podcasting. I started in 2022 doing lives, which
right.
then sort of like took on a life of its own, right? So the my journey started in 22, and then ever since I've
Uh,
like decided that every day I will do I will upload a video before I go to bed.
my
And
God.
that has consistently on now 700, 800, whatever. And again, it's as you know this, right? Like numbers are numbers, but it actually doesn't matter. It's more the habit. It's more
Yes,
that something that you found, which is like an extension of you, that is going to go out and keep creating those ripples out into the world.
absolutely.
So I from a personal angle, and also I know when people hear guests talking about their perspective on how they were able to put this together, I know it will help more people actually be able to express themselves. So that is a conversation that I'm definitely looking forward to. uh, for now, I would say, is there like if people wanted to reach out to you, is there a particular whether it's a workshop or maybe like how would you like people to find you at this point?
Um, Please listen to my podcast. You'll find it very interesting.
Mm, mm,
And I have a website, bimalraj.com. And you can always reach out to me on bimal@bimalraj.com. If you have any queries, I'll be
mm,
more than willing to answer and help you in whichever way I can within what is possible for me. I'm more
mm.
than willing. So my basic principle in life is if I can help someone, why not? It's as simple
Beautiful,
as that.
beautiful. And I have already shared your Linktree link. The idea of
Wow.
the Linktree is basically that, as time progresses, regardless of when people find you on this pod, that whatever is your new and updated, properties
Yeah.
or whatever it is that you're creating, people will be able to find you. And whether at the time that they're finding you, if there's a workshop or there's a seminar, whatever it is that you're doing,
Absolutely.
3 months, 6 months, 2 years from now as well and beyond,
Yeah.
um, they get to connect with you and really benefit from all that you have gathered over years and years and years, and sharing it in such a deep and powerful way. So it's one is, of course, it's been such a pleasure listening to you. And I say this every time and I genuinely mean it. Like, this is sort of like my secret conspiracy to get to know amazing people, because these conversations usually will not happen otherwise,
Yes, that
right?
is
Like, we
very
get
true.
so
Yeah.
busy. Even if you're like in, say, if we are in some kind of get-togethers or whatever, you'll barely get 5 minutes together and somebody will say, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And then
Yeah.
like that's, it's like squirrel, and
True.
there are like these open loops that stay open for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Versus here, um, I get to hear your stories and get to know you better. And like I said, it's no longer about us. We matter,
Yeah.
but it is truly about like realizing that our stories are meant for so many people out there. And for people to be inspired and for people to actually do what they're meant to do, right? We know what
Absolutely.
it is to live in that state of spirit, and really feel drawn to do the work that we do.
Right.
And this is our co-conspiracy of, may more people find what they're meant to do and
Oh
truly
yeah.
like live their purpose, right? So thank you so much for taking the time. And may the new year bring all and much more of your dreams to life.
Our though,
And ours,
at
yes,
least.
there's exactly right. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that are in the making. So thank you so much for taking the time, Bimal. It's been an absolute joy to hear some really amazing stories that you shared today,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you so much, Rahul, for inviting me. You've always been very special, very close, and the kind of effort and the help and the work that you've done with us, for us,
Mm,
just with a pure intention that we grow. It's very rare, extremely rare.
oh, thank
And I
you.
thank you for your heart, and I thank you for the soul that you are. We are blessed
Wow.
because of you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And yeah, I just a slight, short little anecdote. As I said, I saw you for the first time in 2019, and life is funny like that, because in 2022, I happened to be paired with Pallavi on an exercise, and that was sort of like the start of our conversations and our connections. And we were meant to connect through that as
Right.
well. And of course, 23 was when Pallavi started the Communicators Hub. And
Yeah.
together, the two of you have been doing such amazing work, and helping so many people. And for me, it was that blessing to be able to be there from the sidelines and sort of like cheering on. And so we've got to we've had the opportunity many times to be in the same space and to work with the community. So uh, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, time and place, that we were meant to be here at the
True.
literally like the end of. And I just made the connection. It's like I connected with her in 22, and here we are 2 years later having this conversation.
Yes.
And life is funny like that. That
True.
you can't.
So true.
As I always tell people, these are things you can't script, right?
Absolutely.
There's just something so divine about it. So
Yeah.
wish you all the best in the new year.
Thank you. Same
And
to you, brother.
yeah, as I always say, for folks who've reached this point, like, you are special, because something about this conversation has connected with you, and something made you say, let me be here, let me absorb this, and the message that was meant for you has reached you. So as always, remember to live your purpose. God bless.
Absolutely.
And at the time of this recording, we are now reaching the end of 2024. So wherever you find this, may the rest of this year and all of the new year be your best years yet. So till then, As always, remember to live your purpose. God bless. And Bimal, once again, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
It's
so
been
much.
an absolute joy. Yeah. Awesome.